Hello to all you fire alarm and siren fans on YouTube. It is FS Thunderbolt Fan 1000 here, also known as Tom Diener. Today we're going to be going into the Sheboygan Siren history. I figured now is the best time to make this video because we have a siren meetup, I guess, coming to Sheboygan next week. So the beans are going to spill out of the pot or whatever it is. They're going to, not saying don't spill the beans. Yeah, they're coming to Sheboygan, so I figured now is the best time to make this video regarding the Sheboygan Siren history. So, let's get into it, and hopefully you'll watch it. So, Sheboygan Civil Defense Siren history dates back to August of 1959. The city got 11 of these Federal Signal Model 2s that ate up the whole system. The sirens were controlled by a central AR timer at the City Hall that was in the police chief's office, and judging by some of the photos that I saw online, this looks that it could be an early model AR2, like the modern style we see, because it looks like a hybrid between the Series A1 AR and the Series A2. The City Hall is currently being renovated right now, so I don't know if this controller was saved or if it was trashed. So the sirens at the time were installed by the local electric utility, Wisconsin Power and Light, in a fashion similar to this, with the pole mount bracket and the conduit going up across it, because this is the original mounting bracket and everything that came with the siren. The total cost for the sirens at the time was $5,800 or $48,788 in today's money. Some of the locations of the sirens were 5th Street and Lincoln Avenue, which would be Cole Park. There used to be, up until recently, a pole with a pole mount bracket and an RC2 on it. Another location was 8th Ave and Highland Terrace, which would be close to the hospital, Memorial Hospital. 19th Street and North Avenue, which is through the yards over that way more, if you'd kind of go that way. It looks like the camera's reversed, but it's to the north of my house. And then the 2400 block of Superior Avenue, 13th Street and Calumet Drive, which would just be down that way too, 6th Street and Wisconsin Avenue, North 17th Street and Wisconsin Avenue, the 900 block of Georgia Avenue, the 2300 block of South 10th Street, South 20th Street and David Avenue, and Meade Avenue and Highway 141. Highway 141 ceases to exist now, so I'm guessing that's either Calumet Drive or Taylor Drive. But the first test of the system was August 10th, 1959. After numerous tests, engineers from Wisconsin Bell, which was the local telephone provider at the time, figured out that the 11 siren system was insignificant in the year 1960. In April 1960, the Sheboygan Press article stated that there would be changes to the siren system in the future to make the system more effective because sirens could not be heard all around the city, and they did not cover the new annex parts of the city. Because a lot of the town of Sheboygan we know now, like this, I live in the city, but the town used to be a whole lot bigger until the city started annexing portions to the city to grow the city. So where I live used to be the way north side of the town, but through annexation, the north side goes way further that way to the Eisner Avenue 2001 is. And of course, the 2001 was not installed in the 1960s. So, that's it for the 2T portion of the things. Figured I'd film it right here because of it's an original Sheboygan Model 2, so it seemed fitting. None of the original locations are still around. It seems as when they put in the newer system in '64 that they moved a lot of the locations to better produce the sound. Only a few of them remained, like Cole Park was an original location that stuck around. And then the 150 or 141, Highway 141, I think that Model 2 stayed too, because there was a pole on Carmen Avenue and South Business Drive, and I think South Business Drive at the time was 141. And that was up until recently, about 2009, that Model 2 was removed. That was not my Model 2. My Model 2 was the one that was in that dying video that I took by the church. And this one was moved from its original location, and I do not know where its original location is. There are still some remnants of the original system throughout the city, So before we dive into the 1964 upgrade, I'm going to take you to one of the locations where an original Model 2 used to be. So here we are at one of the old locations. This is at the former Lyman School. It was sold to a church that now operates it. This location seems to fit the most of, like, I don't know, I highly doubt this one is moved here. It looks to be an original location, but it really shows nowhere on this. The only thing I can guess is they screwed up on the one thing, and it's actually North 26 in Wisconsin Avenue, because Wisconsin's right over there. But yeah, this is an old Model 2 site, and that, it was, my guess is it was replaced in like the mid-90s to the 70s with the Sunny Ridge Thunderbolt. So I'll just give you a close-up of the whole thing here. So that's the RC2, and up to the top where the old pole mount bracket is. As far as I know, the city marked this location as abandoned, and they're never going to come and take it down. One thing I forgot to mention at the last location is that the Sheboygan Siren system, the original Model 2s, and I think all the other ones, were designed to be heard both indoors and outdoors, because it said in a Sheboygan Press article that the civil defense siren system in Sheboygan was designed to be heard both indoors and outdoors, but the first system did not perform, and in most cases could be heard, well, not be heard, but the first system did not perform, and in most cases could not be heard inside, and schools had to have an individual alerting system due to this. Although none of the sources really went into any detail about the individual warning system, like if it was one of those GE or whoever made them near devices. But yeah, so it's probably like bells or something that was connected to the ring relays for the system. So yeah, now we're going to dive into the 1964 portion of the siren system. Alright, now we're here at the site of the former Franklin School Park. You may ask me why we're here, but it has to do with the siren history, because in October of 1964, the Sheboygan Civil Defense Commission asked Sheboygan Area School District if they could mount new warning sirens on the roof of Washington and Franklin schools. They confirmed that the roofs could handle the weight, and they were going to allow and approve the issue. In 1964, the city of Sheboygan received a $6,907 grant from the Federal Civil Defense Commission for 4 sirens, 3 125 decibel sirens, and 1 110 decibel siren. The locations they were thinking at the time was Franklin School on the south side, where we're at right now, Washington School on the north side, one near Sunny Ridge, and another on the rooftop of a downtown building. The system was scheduled for completion on June 30th, 1965. In November of 1964, Wisconsin Bell accidentally switched on the phone line that controls, switched the phone line that controls the sirens in Sheboygan with someone else's telephone line in the city. Now, whenever someone would call that person, the sirens would activate. It took them a while till they figured out what was happening, and then they realized that a technician accidentally screwed it up, so I thought that was kind of funny. In March of 1965, it was decided that the siren on Franklin School would be better placed on Farnsworth Middle School, so they asked the Sheboygan Area School District again if they could mount that on that school instead, and they said yes. The 110 decibel siren, I'm thinking, is the 2T22 in Sheboygan. I think its original place was over on South 18th Street near Poinsettia, and it eventually was replaced with the 2001 that was over there. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for 1964. Now let's go to June of 1965. Sheboygan Falls bought their 1003 with the Sheboygan Thunderbolts at the time, so there were 4 Thunderbolts received. Theirs was installed in time. On June 22nd, 1965, Sheboygan Falls tested their Thunderbolt 1003 for the first time. So that siren was bought with the original Sheboygan Thunderbolts too. On April 6, 1965, The Common Council reviewed bids from local electrical firms to install the new warning sirens, the Thunderbolts and the 2T22. Weinkauf and Specht Electric Co., also known as just Specht Electric now, was the winning bidder because they had the low bid and experience in erecting similar sirens. So maybe sirens in different parts of the Wisconsin were installed by Specht. I don't know. I just researched Sheboygan here. On July 19th, 1965, the installation of the 310 horsepower sirens was complete and had their first test at 11 a.m. on the Wednesday of that week. Notice how we still test the same time. So it's been a constant thing ever since when we first got our sirens. That week, there were 2 siren tests. The first, the entire system was activated, the Thunderbolts and the Model 2 system. Then for a second test right after, just the Thunderbolts sounded. The original locations where the sirens were installed were Washington School, First National Bank at the time, which is now U.S. Bank, and Farnsworth Middle School. The total cost of the sirens was $12,400, or $93,491 in today's money, of which the U.S. Civil Defense matching funds covered $6,200 of the cost. So it was about half. It was half at the time. In September of 1965, the Sheboygan County Civil Defense received payment for the sirens located in the city of Sheboygan and the city of Sheboygan Falls. On April 30th, 1966, the U.S. Bank siren started going off at midnight. They tried to look into what caused the siren, but the mystery went unsolved. So that had to be a little creepy, especially during wartime tensions like that. On November 12th, 1966, the City Council passed a resolution to provide funding to relocate 8 of the original 11 Model 2Ts, the sirens that were installed in the original system. So that's probably why they're all scattered throughout the city now and not in the original locations, because they were eventually relocated. On April 17, 1972, a janitor was cleaning the communications room at the police headquarters at City Hall. Now they had their own station. He accidentally pressed the alert or attack button on the AR timer, causing all the city's civil defense sirens, including the Model 2s and Thunderbolts at the time, to activate. And it caused an influx of 911 calls that the dispatch center, or whoever was handling it at the time, couldn't really deal with. It was not until May 1968 that the Sheboygan County Civil Defense Director, James P. Smith, allowed for civil defense and fire sirens to be used for tornado warnings in Sheboygan County. So before that, if there was a tornado, you were dead out of luck, you would know if a bomb was coming or something, or a missile. In October of 1974, the Common Council voted on updating the civil defense warning system because they said there were coverage gaps at the time. The total cost of the update was $21,832, half of which was funded by the federal government. It was voted down 8-7 by the Common Council because they claimed that the city was facing a budget crisis. At a September 2nd, 1975 Common Council meeting, the Sheboygan County Civil Defense Director, James Smith, pleaded that the aldermen gather the funding to upgrade the sirens in the city due to inadequate coverage that the city was found out when a tornado struck the north side of the city earlier in the year of 1975. On June 19, 1976, it was asked that the Common Council pay for half of the cost of removing the siren off the U.S. Bank building. This was probably due to a blower problem because just recently a blower came up on the surplus auctions that was in Sheboygan, but I thought it was going to go for a lot more than it was. Well, not the whole blower, but just like the blower unit, like the roots blower part, not the motor or frame or blower box. But yeah, I did not end up bidding on that. So now we're going to go into something that's a little more near and dear to my heart. And it's going to be a little hard to talk about, but I guess it's for the better here. Alright, in the year 2011, that was about the time I first discovering sirens on the computer. So I really started getting into sirens, and then I got the Averio, and then we started recording all the sirens in the city, And luckily enough, I was able to record all of them. So, yeah, I was recording all of them, and everything was good. In the year 2012, that Model 2 came down, and I ended up being gifted it by the city, and now I have it preserved and up in my backyard, and I guess it's the only original civil defense siren left at this point in time, because now we're going to get into the 2017 Sheboygan Siren update. Alright, now we're back in the shop because I needed internet for this part. And, yeah, I needed internet. So, that portion of the siren upgrade of 2017 story starts with me working all last summer. Since I was working all last summer, I had no idea what was going on. I wasn't recording any sirens or anything because of, yeah, I was working all the time. So I didn't have off any of the first Wednesday or every other Wednesday type deal. So yeah, so I quit my summer job like the 2 weeks before August ended because I was starting my EMT class and I didn't want to be working at the time because it was going to be painful and like long. So I was on my way down to up to Appleton to go clothes shopping with my family when in the morning Sam sends me this photo here. We were watching Rick for a while, figuring what he was up to, and he's like, oh, you see Rick got a modulator trailer? I'm like, oh yeah, nice. I'm like, why does that building in the background look familiar? And then I zoom in, and I had a little bit of a heart attack. I don't know if you can read that, but it says, Municipal Building, City of Sheboygan. And I was like, my first reaction was, oh my god, I need to get down there and see if Rick's down there with his trailer or not, or what the heck's going on. But I went down there and he was gone, so it probably wasn't that day because it was like a Saturday or something, so he probably wasn't there that day. But yeah, so I went around checking, make sure all the sirens were still there, everything was good. So I'm friends with the city public works director's kid, and I started texting him, I'm like, hey, you know anything about this? He says, yeah man, big upgrade. Back in 2011, well, not 2011, it was probably about 2013, I did a Lego League project on sirens and whatever, and the radio technician from the city of Sheboygan came and he's like, yeah, we eventually want to do an upgrade, like, they're so old and they don't work that well, this, that, whatever. It's like, well, the only one that didn't really work that well was Horseman, so I don't really want to hear it. But, so I knew it was kind of coming for a while, but I thought they were just going to keep pushing it off. So I text him, he says, yeah, upgrade's coming in probably September. So I knew Rick was doing the installation. So I was watching City Waupun replaced their cyclones with him, with 508. So I'm like, okay, so we're probably after that. So October comes rolling around. And then me and my friend Seth went driving one Wednesday afternoon to see if all the old sirens are there. And I'll show you what we found. It was a brand new Federal Signal 508 siren. It was installed the day before, on the 17th of October. It didn't even have power yet. The siren is located at Veterans Park. It's meant to be a replacement for both kind of Farnsworth and Horseman. Both sirens are still up to this day. They both still work, even though the city claims that all the old system is off. But they still rotate for tests and everything. And the funny thing is, the city claims the main reason why they wanted to get rid of the old system is, one, battery backup, even though the buildings that they were on had generators that the sirens were confirmed to be running off of in the loss of power. And two, they wanted to get rid of the costly ring relays because they claimed they were paying $4,000 a year for that, which I believe, but it wouldn't be that expensive to upgrade the radios. But, yeah, it's whatever. I guess these new ones are somewhat okay. So on to the next location. So here we are now. The same day me and Seth were driving, we went past End Park, and we were watching Washington School, seeing if there's anything going on there. And then down the road on Los Angeles Avenue, we saw a couple white trucks, And then we saw this here. The N Park 508 now is installed on Elizabeth Street and Los Angeles Avenue. And it was installed on the 18th of October. And then, if you look at the Washington School, the Thunderbolt was still up at the time. But in the coming weeks, it was taken down because it was being made into apartments. And I thought, oh no, is it scrapped or whatever? But I'll show you what happened to it here. Well, you may be asking yourself, whatever happened to the Washington School Thunderbolt? Well, it's sat inactive since 2014, and now that it's apartments, once the 508 went up, the city came and removed the siren, and it now sits down there. You can kind of make out the chopper cap and the blower. I had them put the plastic bag over the blower tube because otherwise you're going to get the water buildup in there and it's going to rust shut and closed, and it's going to be a pain to undo. So once I sell it, hopefully I can bring her back, restore her, and then sell it to a community in need. Well, like I said, the rest of them are all still up except for Sunny Ridge, because emergency communication systems made off with that siren. And here's where the Washington School Thunderbolt sits, down at the DPW yard. So throughout this whole process, I maintained contact with my contacts with the city. And then I eventually went down there one day, after the first round of 508s were installed, and went and talked to the electrician for the city and told me how much they were spending on the electrical lines and whatever. Not the electrical lines, but the phone relays. Then he said that they mentioned they had a 508 down at the garage, so I actually got my picture taken with one of the 508s from Sheboygan. In total, we've installed 3 508s. Here's the last one. It is at Weeden Creek Road in South 12th Street. This replaced a 2001 SRN. All 2001s maintained in the system. Some were just moved, others were left, but all of them got control upgrades to the 2A FCs with battery backup. And yeah, so the city now uses Commander. They pull the sirens at around 3 a.m. They have their own frequency now. For the first couple of months, they were using Fire Primary, and that got pretty annoying. So now they use their own frequency. But here's the last 508 that was installed. They ended up removing this 2001 SRN. This one ended up going on Sunny Ridge, replacing that Thunderbolt. And the other one, that was on... No, this one here went on US Bank to replace that Thunderbolt. That Thunderbolt's still standing, but it's deactivated. Rick made off with those controls. The Sunny Ridge Thunderbolt was replaced with the 2001 SRN from Poinsettia Avenue. There's no siren over there, but they claim the 508 can cover that. So we will see what the coverage map shows. And the Sunny Ridge Thunderbolt was the only siren that Rick made off with from the system. So, we'll quick show you this 508 here. Here we are at the Sunny Ridge 2001 SRN. This siren was installed on December 7th, 2017. This is the 2001 SRN from Poinsettia Avenue. That area now has basically no coverage because it is right in the middle of a supposed... It's in between 2 508s, but I don't think they cover that area. But yeah, this is the one that was over there, and it replaced the Sunny Ridge Thunderbolt. Here we are at US Bank now. This is the Weeden Creek 2001 SRN. It was moved here on December 18th, 2017. It replaced this Thunderbolt, one of the originals from the city. This is, yeah, in US Bank. As you can see, it's got like the custom mount there. So it can mount the controls and antenna, and then the siren mounts on another part. The only reason why Rick and Emergency Communications didn't make off with this Thunderbolt is they made off with the controls, but the Thunderbolt stayed. Number one, because the blower is supposedly rubber seal tighted into the roof, and that the crane was 10 feet short, they told me, so that's why this one is still here. It is unknown whether the city's going to take it down or not, but it's been here ever since. This was the last install they did for the City of Sheboygan system. Okay guys, we're back here in the basement, or the shop if you want to call it that. Couple things to end the video here. Upcoming next here is all the videos I took of the upgrades that were going on. If I was there, I videotaped it, so before I went to class. Some nights I had to cut it short before it was over, the install, because I had to go to class a lot of the times, so bear with me with that. On another side note, do not contact emergency communication systems about acquiring old sirens, or even if your city's got a contract with them and they are taking down the sirens, they keep what they take down. They're not going to sell, so don't deal with them on that context. So that's pretty much it here. Thanks for watching this portion of the video, and let's go to the footage of the system upgrades. I wonder if they're just going to saw it off the hole again or just use the hole. I don't know. Is it just Bill up there? Yep. I swear I always thought you would make noise like you're sticking in the pot, Steve. So what does it look like they're doing?
send me some of the videos.
Oh yeah. Well, I have a lot of them, so I was gonna edit it to into a giant YouTube video explaining everything. I got all the details from Mike.
Yeah.
I'll send you an email with the edited video explaining everything and talking about it, and then you can like do whatever with it. Maybe if you guys want to get a Facebook page or something going, you can put it out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll send you the videos. I have like 300, 400 some photos. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. Yeah. The videos are all like probably. I take them about 10 seconds each a snapshot. So I probably have 100, 200 videos that I all got to edit together and trim out the boring parts. So yeah, but yeah, I'll send them to your email if you want.
You must cover a big area. How big an area do you go and watch these sirens with?
I've gone as far as I've done Watertown, I've done Prairie du Sac, Green Bay. I stay mainly in Wisconsin though to watch. But yeah. So what do you do with the old ones mainly?
Well, a lot of them, you know, it all varies.
Yeah.
It all varies, and what they are. Most of them are junk when they come down, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you do much with the Serotones? Them old ones, like with all the speakers, you have a lot of problems with those, or?
You know, those, there's not a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
The old electronic ones, there's really not a lot of them left out there. There's a few of them, but...
Yeah, do you ever install any modulators anywhere by chance? Yeah? A few? I see you like the 508s more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had my photo taken with the one that went up on Whedon Creek back when I was down at the DPW, and yeah, that's a beast of a siren.
For the money, you're crazy enough to get it.
Yeah, and the range is so crazy. And like, Federal Signals talked all they wanted about like how the 2001 was the replacement for the Thunderbolt. That was like bull crap. The 508 is.
Yeah.
That thing is a heck of a siren, a beast of a siren.
Lower tone.
Yeah. Well, that's why when they were doing this, I'm like, okay, well if they're replacing sirens, I'm like, okay, we're gonna drop from 12 to 8. I was thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, well then they're gonna just replace everything and put 508s up, and they said no, we're just gonna have 3 508s. I'm like, well then what the heck are we gonna do with it? Because I said you can't have one 508 up here in Taylor Hill and expect it to cover all the way to downtown. So I'm like, oh, okay, so you're switching. City's gonna expand at the south side, put a 508. It's a plain. It's not so hilly like it is over here, and then put a 2001 down at U.S. Bank in here. Did you guys go down to U.S. Bank today?
We were there today.
How'd it go?
We got a fab a different bracket up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you guys yank the control panels out of here?
There you go. Yeah.
For what?
Oh, really?